Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be putting together a small reverb module. Now, I bought these little karaoke machine reverb module replacement boards from eBay for a few dollars each. There's the little board, you know, pretty small little package, and it will run on 6 to 15 volts, so that makes it real easy to find something to run it on. They're little replacement boards, I guess. You can get these modular karaoke machines from China that are really cheap, that have a whole bunch of different parts that you can add and remove. So these little reverb modules, they're built around a reverb chip that we'll take a closer look at here in a minute. But I believe that this project should be quick, easy, and should be a lot of fun to slap together, and should add some neat, inexpensive effects to the synthesizer.
Here we are at the zoom in of the board, so let's take a closer look. Now, the real brains behind this board is the pt2399, a purpose-built audio reverb chip. You might be able to see the numbers there, the pt2399, and this is just a chip that it is a purpose-built reverb module. These capacitors and resistors that you see here in this array set the parameters for this chip to do its delay times, the delay cycles, and the speed. So if you were to just buy this chip, you could set a whole bunch of parameters to your liking that are already set on this device. This thing was, I think it was $5 normally on like AliExpress or whatever, but I managed to find it for $3 on eBay. So, you know, a super cheap solution. So the audio output is just over here, the input is over here, and where you slap the power. Now, I don't have any of these JST connectors, so I'm just going to heat it up a little bit and pull the plastic off and mount the board. Not with the mounting holes. I'm actually just going to mount the board with the potentiometer being the only thing holding it. So there'll be an audio jack above it, an audio jack below it, and a power jack below it, and the board should function just as is. So this should be a real quick project to put together and to test. So I'm really interested in how this little pre-built chipset is going to work out for me. Here is the board with the front panel populated, nice and simple. The power, the in, the potentiometer, and the out on a nice thin little board. So what I've been doing is just pulling these connectors. So I'll just pull one of these connectors. You might need to give it a bit of a wiggle on the way out. They seem to be on there pretty good, but they come off fairly easy. And then just a quick little bend of the pins to give myself a little more room to solder. Now there are through-hole pins here, and what you can do with those is you can put a little wire mount in there. But you know, to desolder these pins and then to put the screw mount in and then screw the wires into that, it really is just as simple to spread them apart and solder onto them. So I'll go ahead and get this board soldered together. There's only a few wires to actually connect to it, and we can go right into a test of this little reverb board. Let's just go ahead and get these wires soldered to where they need to go. So I will cut off a little bit of heat shrink tubing for the ends of these wires and slide them down over. So really, when doing this, you want to make sure that all of the leads are tinned. You want to make sure that you get a little bit of solder on everything. It makes it a lot easier when you've got lead on all sides. It makes it way easier to deal with things. So just put a little bit there. I'll pull this one down over to the power side, and I really should have no trouble getting that on there with a bit of solder that I soak up over here. Beautiful and somewhat painful. Now let's get this down over. Well, looks like I have a little bit too much solder on that side to get it all the way down, but that's fine. As long as I get the other side. As long as I do the other side a little better. A little more up and down, it looks like. So I'll get you under here. And then back up around. Yeah, that'll work. Get you up. And then back down around. So I can do a bit of a vertical solder here. And that should help me out a little bit more with getting the heat shrink to go down over. There, that's on there, good. There, and the heat shrink goes all the way down to the PCB on that side, so it'll be all right on the power side. Beautiful, there's one side. Now I can do the same thing over here. And then pop these on. I have yet to tin those. Looks like I need a little bit of solder paste on that one just to get it to grab on here. There we go. And same over here, but that one was already tinned. So we'll just slide the ground on. And we'll get the input bent down, soldered on to where it needs to go. Get a bit of solder paste in there, grab a bit of solder, and a nice, quick, easy stick together. Get the heat shrink to make the corner here is difficult, and the heat shrink goes all the way down to the board. Perfect. And we can just tuck that down out of the way, and we'll pull this power one up and do the same thing on this side. Grab a bit of the lead solder. I don't mess around with the tin stuff. It just doesn't seem to work very well for me. The leaded solder seems to be the best. The only thing is that I need to build myself a fume hood because I notice that if I go all day over the soldering, I do get a pretty good headache. Now I know that's not from lead, but it's from the solder paste and everything just being a bit extreme. There we go, and all the way down to the board, and that's out of the way of the audio jack when it will come in, so that's good. We'll shrink those down.
Cool. Coming along quickly. Now, I forget which of these pins is the power. So I'm going to have to grab a jack plug and plug it in and pull out the meter here. And I know this meter doesn't have everything I need, but it will certainly tell me which is which. So if I throw my pin into here and hold this down, I should get a response on one of these pins. There it is. Okay, so that's the power cable is going to go right on that one there. Awesome. Easy peasy. So pull this off. I was doing it with this earlier. That seemed to work. It didn't really need to be a real sharp pull. And I can use those connectors later if I want to for something. So clear those from each other a little bit to make some room. And I'll throw a bit of solder on them. Grab a couple of wires here. And run the power. There, easy peasy. Now, what are we going to grab? What do I have laying around? I have a piece of blue. I suppose this piece of blue can be ground if it wants to be. So I will go ahead and trim a bit off of them, because they seem to be pretty cut apart. And I don't have my dish out, so I'll use the syringe for the solder paste. Grab a bit of solder, tin the leads, and more heat shrink, because it's just easy and necessary. Now, I think I need the larger stuff for this. Yes, I do. This is the smaller stuff, and I really don't think that is going to do the trick on the on this side here. So I'll cut this big piece in half and cut one more small little piece, and then I'll have the heat shrink for my power wires. So I'll tin a ground. I'm assuming that either one of these are the ground, but ooh, I better not assume anything. I better pull this back out and see which of these is my ground. There it is. So I was right. Beautiful. So we'll just throw a bit of solder on that plate. Ooh, that took the solder really well. Sometimes it's a bit of a mission, but that took the solder really well. I was going to try and do that soldering with my right hand, but that really doesn't seem to make much sense now, does it? Okay, awesome. So, big piece of heat shrink to go down over the tab. Beautiful. Give it a bit of fire. And do I have any random red pieces hanging around? Green. Green can be red. That will do nicely. Green can be red if it wants to be.
So, I was actually amazed by how well this tab took solder. Sometimes these things can be miserable to try to get the solder to stick to them. So, let me just pick this piece of random solder up that I have laying around on the table. These little solder ends can sometimes be useful if you just need to put a little bit. Again, I try and do it right hand dominant, which doesn't make any sense because I can solder with my left hand, but my brain thinks, geez, you have to do it with your right hand. You must be right-handed. You have to be right-handed. Well, sometimes it doesn't really matter what hand. Shaky is shaky, whether it's the right hand or the left hand. All right, there we go. So, then I'll slip these down over. And get everything mounted up. So, in order for you to stand up straight, you need to have a bit of a bend in you so I can get that stuff over the pin so the power doesn't touch each other. Grab a bit of solder from my solder reel. And away we go. A quick attachment. And same thing. Grab a bit of solder. This one's being weird. All right, and we are attached here as well. So we'll slide these down. See if I can't get it to make this corner. There it is. Give it a bit of fire. Now I need a hot air blower, but for the amount that I do, this is fine. So, I mean, really, there's the module finished. You know, nice and simple. Just, you know, 4, 8, 12 solder joints and 6 holes. That's not bad for a quick little reverb module. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and give it a test. Let's go ahead and give the board a little test. So I'll just plug in my 9-volt power supply here. This is just the adjustable. It's not set to 13. Only these ones can be set with this. So let's go ahead and plug in the power. The little red indicator light came on. That's always a good sign. So let's take an audio from my computer, just some random blathering on YouTube, and plug this blue one into the output, and plug the blue one into the speaker here, and play something.
Shield of iron. Our matrix fields are within range. Engaging mass recall. My brethren, hear me, for there is little time left. All that remains of our race, our civilization, are those that stand beside you now. Trust in each other. Strike as one will. Let our last stand burn a memory so bright, we will be remembered forever. Entoro Tassadar!
Well, that actually seemed to work pretty decent. I'm pretty impressed with this little board. So, it being eBay, I have another one, of course. So, yeah, that came together pretty decent. I like the way that sounds. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. the little reverb module works, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. So nice, quick, simple, easy, and I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, this has been a rousing success for how simple and quick it was to put together. I'm very happy. So thank you for watching, and tune in to the next crazy thing that I build. It's probably just going to be a passive multi, trying to bang out a couple of these little projects while I wait for the components for more complex designs, and still trying to breadboard a few more complex designs. So I'll take her easy for the next little bit. Thank you and have a great day.